Hello, I am Henry Crawford, and welcome to Poets versus the Pandemic, a series devoted to poets whose books have come out in this time of coronavirus and sheltering in place. Tonight, we're featuring the Right Blend Poetry Circle, who will be reading from their new eponymous book, The Right Blend. Here is a troupe of poets that I am sure you're going to just love hearing from. Before we begin, I want to thank the WordWorks and Cafe Muse for helping to sponsor this series, and I want to thank each and every one of you for coming on out tonight and joining us in this poetry. Well, let's get a few things out of the way first. Well, the most important thing is we want you to purchase the books of the poets. So I'm going to put a link into the chat that will take you to places where you can buy The Right Blend. We also have a donation button on that page, so don't feel shy about donating to our program. And we at WordWorks and Cafe Muse will thank you wholeheartedly. I'll also put in the chat a link to where you can follow all of our WordWorks online readings, sign up on the registration form, and you'll be on our mailing list to get Zoom links for all of our readings. Now, if you want to ask a question of our poets, feel free to drop a question into the chat, and we'll try to get to as many of them as we have time for. A couple more things. Please join us on Monday, November 2nd, 2020, when Cafe Muse Online will feature the poets Michael Davis and Beth Konkowski. And we'll be back here again on PVP on November 18, 2020, with our feature poet, Day Filippo, who will be reading from her book, Thunderhead. And my colleague, who I see on the screen over there, Susan Oki, will be a guest on that program. So that'll be a real good program there. So now let me introduce our featured poetry ensemble, The Right Blend. The 6 voices who comprise The Right Blend offer a uniquely diverse poetic experience. When I first came across this book back in the summer, I was delighted by the way each poet lends an entirely unique voice to a mix that is expressed in beautiful harmony. From the visually arresting poems of Diane Wilbon Parks to the more experimental works of Miss Cayenne, each section and each page brings rewarding surprise. And we'll even have a little live music tonight. So this should be a real enjoyable evening. Now this book, The Right Blend, also represents, to my mind, an important document in this time of social and racial upheaval. It is a troubling time, but it is also a time of opportunity where we can stand up with each other, for each other, and sing our poems together with a strong, diverse voice for what is right and for what is just. So with all that being said, it gives me a great pleasure to introduce The Right Blend. And so I'm gonna turn this over to Diane Wilbon Parks, and I'm gonna say, Diane, take it away.
Thank you so much, Harry. Good evening to everyone. As the founder of The Right Blend, and on behalf of The Right Blend, we want to thank WordWorks, Poets versus Pandemic, and Cafe Muse for hosting us this evening. We very much appreciate all the work that you've done to have us this evening on the program. Some folks may not know, and thank you, Harry, for introducing The Right Blend, giving you a little bit of background, but some folks may not know that we are culturally diverse. We live, all 6 of us, in the greater DMV. We have a really broad representation of poetic styles, and it is because of our diversity that we are unique. We bring a unique voice and perspective to poetry. And as a matter of fact, I'm not aware of any poetry circle that have such diversity. And in today's climate, we are so needed. So this is how we're going to set up our reading this evening. We will have a first round of reading from our book, The Right Blend. Each poet will read 1 poem. And then the second round is the poet's choice. So without further ado, I introduce you to these dynamic poets, And the first poet is Hiram LaRue, Billy O'Cara, Dynasta Miss Cayenne Thomas, Liz Reisig, Cliff Bernier, who will also be playing harmonica. So without further ado, Cliff, take it away. Billy, you're up next.
A reading from The Right Blend in the chapter Blending Colors. Colors. You can't ride the rainbow when your soul is black. Your knack for prisms blotted out, your jade dying to russet corners of dried leaves left from fall sweepings 2 years before. Thinking to come back to them, grind them into mulch, bed them, tend them in the garden of purple pansies and indigo begonias your mama left before she died. She took her colors with her, all of them washed through pale pity, the graying hues of her happiness, her pain stashed behind stained glass windows welded tight, obscuring the yellowed light of her vulnerabilities, her ruddy invincibility, her bluesy blue, floating through the house with cool in hand, some man wrapped to the blackness of her cosmic sorrows. Too late to know the moon does not grow sunflowers, and sunlight etches ebony epitaphs on lackluster legacy. She took her colors with her, all of them, and with them mine, bequeathing neither oil nor brush to paint the canvas of my life, a masterpiece.
That was Billy O'Cara. I'm Hiram LaRue. I'm going to be posting a couple of comments that folks who I believe pretty much everyone in the chat room probably knows, comments that they have made about the Right Blend collection. The poem I'm going to read is a short love poem that appears in the Right Blend collection in the Blending Voices section of the collection. It's titled Evening. Gnats know how lovely you are. So do yucca spears here on the island that makes you, takes you towards whispering clouds, takes you into rose risks of sunshine, and deep ferns peeled back that reveal the hiddens of you. No one else but you goldens the gnats, or walks up the sand, shouldering this air like a country.
Thank you, Hiram. I always love to hear you read. I'm going to be reading a piece. My name is Miss Cayenne. I'm going to be reading a piece from the Right Blend collection from the section Blending Colors. It is entitled, There is Blood on the Cotton. Snowy white and neatly folded, rows of teas stand at attention in the dresser, each one whispering, pick me, as eyes scan the open drawer. Textile perfection, almost, until the nick on his chin drips. There is blood on the cotton. And like that, the fabric of our lives is the fiber of his anguish. Rows of cloud-like purity stained with the blood of human chattel. King Cotton ruled with a leather whip. The economic backbone broke down many black bones, making bank bones, but only for the bones covered in white skin. Men, women, and children bow in reverence to a hot sun, a cold king, racing against daylight, ignoring the screams of their worn bodies, backs bent, hands picked, fingers pricked, blood drips. And there is blood on the cotton. Camera flash forward. Snowy white teas still stand at attention. Perfection lost with one single drop. A sure castaway. With ancestral courage, his shaky mulatto hands reached in the opened drawer and rescued himself. And under Ralph, Da Vinci, Armani, a subtle reminder, there is blood on the cotton.
Thank you so much, Miss Cayenne. It's always wonderful to hear your powerful voice. My name is Liz Reitzig, and I am reading from the chapter Blending Voices, and this poem is called Advice to My Daughter. Daughter, breathe. Let the wind roll across your shoulders. Let the sky be your close companion. The resting sun will lighten your path as the earth measures the distance beneath you until you find your way home. But always remember to breathe. I met you when you were born, captivated by the gasp that we both exhaled. I touched your lips in awe. I didn't know you could exist. I didn't know your breath would whisper me into another world. If a mother's wishes could keep you safe, you'd be the safest babe on earth, just like all the rest. If a mother's hope could keep you happy, you'd be the happiest person on earth, just like all the rest. With my every breath, I pray. But a mother's hope is not enough. You must embrace your despair to find your happiness. You will know the sweat of lost success. You will know the tears of too much tenderness. You will know the matching comfort of love. Through it all, you must remember to breathe. I want to see you fly on the back of the breeze. The wind will fill your lungs with dreams, and every exhale will be your next adventure. But daughter, you mustn't forget to breathe. There is a place inside where your breath meets your courage. Every step, every beat of your wings will be an adventure if you find that place. Every step, every breath will lead you home.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Thank
Awesome,
you,
Mary.
Liz. I love the line flag on the breast of a breeze. Wow, that's beautiful. So this evening I'm reading from the book, The Right Blend, and the section is Blending Uniqueness. And the title of the poem is Night. She stood as dark as ever, waiting for me to follow. I chose her canopy for covering and faded into her like clouds. She sleepwalks in my skin, questioning the sound of my moves. We've been here before. Our souls crossed as she tucked the moon in my hair. We've lain on the subtle hills of her slanted cliffs and mountaintops trimmed in heavy coal, sprinkling dust over pitch blue moons and pillows while craving the intractable lips of her rivers. My eyes quickly fold, then flow through her mouth, kissing the banks of her salty lips. As she stands stronger and darker than ever, glistening like diamonds, peeking out of shadows, she eagerly plucks the soul of wild children, leaving their flesh to become lifeless sentences of old intellect. She wears truth like sandals. I'm left bald, with the heartbeat of a wind I can't seem to convince any longer. She drags me into the strings of her songs that a sandman carries. I go into her eagerly, night.
Hi, I'm Cliff Bernier. I'm going to do a poem from the Blending Diversity section of the book. It's called Sketches of Spain, which is also the name of an album by Miles Davis. Miles said, Concerto d'Aranjuez, couldn't get it out of my mind. The cool, the castanets, the moriscos, cutting at Monroe's, pimping in Detroit, composing with Hugh. Gypsies in the modal dance, Castilians killing the night, like one big guitar, one fierce palma, penny whistle of the pig castrator, taleo of smack and blow, saitas, soleas, cante hondo and duende, the arrow of song. In the heart pierced by grief, Miles said, grew longings and laments, loneliness hid in the hard bop of blues, bitterness stored in the shadows.
This is our second round. I'm going to read a poem called This Place, and it's from an upcoming book I'm working on called On a Greyhound to Memphis. This place. Long after they dim the lights and the dancers have left their dancing, their shoes propped against the doorpost gathered and moved to another lodging. This place, with the scraps of food given to the dogs, the kitchen help soiled and stained, and the tips divided evenly to hierarchy of importance. This place. After the drummer has stopped his drumming, the rat-a-tat-tat of timbe still sending shrill pulses through your veins, and the rapper has finished editing for audience, now gone from the city's gut into the bowels of cathedral. This place. Only you across the floor see me. Remember me. There were others there, of course, but in that singular transaction, there was nothing else to catch your attention. And so I just happened to mention how I was willing, how it had been so long, how none other had been asking direction to this place, and how it had gone wanting for the pressure of a hand or a face, or the taste of smoky cigar on tongue, or the way you chew gum after each meal, saying it satisfied digestion, but you couldn't digest. Not really. Someone saying love is real if you let it be. Love is real if you give it a chance. Love is real if you just stop apportioning it to all the other folk who have lain in this place. Their molds on sheets I've barely changed because no one's lying there most times. Not even you. This place I call my only place I show no one, my only place I keep it to myself. Not even God is invited here, for he may require of me some penance, some absence, some cessation of touch, and I'd much rather chance the smell of your skin today for a day in purgatory forever. This place. Who'd have thought I'd languish here? Who'd have believed I'd be caught here like the others, all lonely, all stupefied by outrageous choice, all waiting for a savior, knowing they've borne many crosses, which entitles them. No one's coming, no one's prophesied, no one sent the warriors abroad to bring the spoils to share among this village, this place. Coming from who knows where, wanting explanations not given, and really not even thinking you're owed one. Just hike your britches up like the rest of us and drink your potion down in one gulp and press your breastbone back to your chest and giddy up and hold your horse and quit your sedity ways. The pay is cheap in this hotel, my jaw ajar to all accomplices. This place.
That's the powerhouse poet we call Billy O'Kara. I'm going to post again a note in the chat room that's relevant to the poem that I'm going to be reading. A group of 3 African-American poets and myself visited the historic Woodlawn plantation estate in Fairfax, Virginia, about this time last year. And as a result, wrote about how we imagined the lives and conditions of the largely erased, unknown, enslaved community of 90 slaves serving 9 whites in the plantation house. Must have been like what those lives and conditions must have been like. We have assembled many of those poems into a program called Voices of Woodlawn, and will next be performing it on Sunday, November 1st at 10:30 a.m. Eastern Time, Eastern US Time, and all are welcome to attend what I know I'm biased, but I believe is a very moving and I know is a very timely program. So this piece comes from some of the poems that I wrote while I was with my colleagues there at Woodlawn. It's titled Vista Blur. Clouds of branches uneven were, as smoke became windows or lingering hams. With these thin voices in sad vines, as I walk up, yes, I begin to almost hear their echoes of what was, but is still blurred. What happened here? These voices, that precious the lawn sweeps now, across vistas of yearnings that river my overs, that hide in the corners, their cries for freedom so wanted. With these views of sunrises and mist that hope prayed for and gathered about. These views that are gone now, that are just barely and blurred blue. I can almost hear small stitches of accents, sweet as the oaks. Voices that were here then, abiding when tobacco and corn reigned. When poorly was sadly these riches. Yes, all of my hoops are flung widely across these skins of years. What happened here? Around me and by me and through me, these fork times of land love and shame. Cuffs that sob in their rust, or ropes frayed, or gilded mirrors of my memories, me. The full field of sorrows from those times that have sprouted, but are buried so deep down inside me. The scars or gasps or flames inside souls like silent prayers or arrows through. All of them ask, what happened here? From my then that was and our still is now, this evil, holy aftertell.
Awesome. Thank you, Hiram. Awesome, awesome. I love that introspection, the repetition of the question, what happened here, causes such intense introspection. And thank you for that. I am going to do a piece called Give Me a Pen. I am the owner of a poetry business called Cayenne Ink. And Cayenne Ink is dedicated to doing our best to use poetry to foster hope, healing, and social change. Poetry literally saved my life as a young person. And so this poem kind of speaks to the medicinal effect of poetry. Give me a pen. I don't feel so well. My heart is heavy and my soul don't know that it indeed will be all right. There's a dagger of disappointment dangling from my right shoulder blade, arms too fat to reach around and pull it out, pain too real to pretend it away. And my eyes are bag holders, bags filled with last night's tears. And my cheeks are round rocks flowed upon by today's new tears. The pain of fear ballooned my ankles, swollen from standing too long, toes too afraid to wiggle in the sand, and my stomach, it flips and turns, it flips and turns, it flips and turns like a riddling deprived breakdancer, and the room is spinning like records on a turntable manipulated by life. The DJ. Whew. I need a seat. No water or cold compress needed here. Just give me a pen with a permeable surface, and I'll write this pain away. I'll write the dagger right out of my back. And with my pen, I'll drain bags filled with wet hopes and soggy dreams. And from my ducts will flow poetry, poetry that liberates and sets the captives free. Yes, even me. I will elevate my legs on metaphors and monologues, redirecting the settled blood from my ankles into my legs, from my legs into my thighs, from my thighs to my buttocks, through my torso, into my spine, back down again, into my arms, and into my fingers, my pen gripping fingers. Give me a pen, and I'll write this pain away.
Wow. I always love how animated and inspiring Miss Cayenne and her poetry are. This is a really short piece of mine, and it started out as a playful piece. And as I worked on it more, I realized that that was not the only dimension to it. It's called Wonder. When if there were no wonder, with plight of soon arrive, see past as screens confuse the show, or if in wonder be. It is not so that can be taught, or rather left undone, alone beyond for whether be, as if in wonder gone.
Liz, wow, I was waiting for more. You're saying it, and I'm like, can I hear it again? I loved it. Short is really good sometime. I don't know how to go short sometime, but at any rate, I see the light on. She's here. The Maryland State Poet Laureate is in the Zoom room. And because she's here, I am going to read a poem that she and we co-hosted together last month, and it is entitled, because she's my light, it's entitled, Give Me Light. In as much as I can take, give me light. In as much as I can dream, give me hope and the souls of first stars, lit by rays that burn with such intensity, to love, to crave, such harmony that shine as a string of lights, bellowing in air with every stream that falls into knitting. My hope is that you take your place, take your dreams and swing them over your shoulders across America, across Europe, into Africa and India and Asia. Leave your Moulin teas, fill every dark space with the candle of your smile. Shave the moon of its starlit dust. Spread your light and hope on others. Open the jar of every part of you that loves, that sings and wants and dreams and hopes with the burning rays that rise inside your throat. There is always a sun spinning loose there. Love like weddings, take the gaze from these God-stretched years, these cherished pearled reflections, this daydreaming skin that swells from the blue that glows like mirrors, from the lakes that swoon in shades of blue jade. Give the world the sound of trees full of air and hope. Bend into gold strands that leans in and shine. Every prayer is a melody. Roll your big, tall heads back, and in as much as you can take, give your light. In as much as you can dream, give hope and love like the souls of bright stars. Thank you.
Thank you, Diane.
Beautiful.
There is always a sun spinning loose. Thank you for the inspiration.
Thank you.
I'm going to do a poem called All the Rivers. And I think, let's see, I lost the, am I still on?
You are.
Okay.
And while Cliff is finding his text, this is the image painted by Diane Wilbon Parks that appears on the cover of the Right Blend collection. Thanks, Henry, for screen sharing it.
Okay, I'm going to do a poem called All the Rivers, and Ah, now I see it's back. Okay, I lost the screen for a minute there. It's, I'm told, going to be on a recording that I'm told is coming out at the end of the month called Post-Columbian America, put together by a Portuguese friend of mine in Lisbon. And I play harmonica on 2 of the cuts, and he put this poem to music. All the rivers run to the Mississippi. The Amazon, the Nile, the Yangtze, the Ganges, the piranhas, the dhows, the ducks, and the dead. From Itasca to the source they come, the Ob, the Euphrates, revolutionaries and reeds, refractions of silt and of self, on longboats and junks, tugboats and rafts, the Lena, the Congo, the Yellow, the Seine. All the rivers run to the Mississippi. Ride the steamers from Dubuque to Davenport, from Hannibal to St. Louis, prism of hardship and pain, the Thames, the Mekong, by fado, flamenco, gospels, spirituals, bolero, and tango. From Jackson to Memphis, from Helena to Clarksdale, pour their stories into the Delta, their sorrows into the redemption of song. All the rivers run to the Mississippi. The Volga, the Rhine, Nantaro, Nyabarongo, by headwaters and streams, Morna, Enka, Bossa, and Chant. Hop the paddle boats from Rosedale to Greenville, steer the barges from Vicksburg to Baton Rouge, Natchez to New Orleans, a confluence of currents, the Zambezi, the Tagus, the Purus, the Brahma, because all the rivers run to the blues. Thank you.
Okay, so
Awesome.
that you guys, we have time and we have questions, and we are also being visited, honored by the Maryland State Poet Laureate Grace Cavalieri, and so this is the part of the show where we usually open for questions. So I'm going to see if I can unmute her. And would you like to ask a question of our poets and speak for a second? Oh, you're right.
Actually, not a question. It's just an exclamation. These poets are truly the soundtrack of our lives. They have captured the rhythm of what it feels to be alive at this moment in history like no other group. And just adding the music to that, double soundtrack, double soundtrack. It is so thrilling. You all have to see the Woodlawn series that they're putting on. And I think that Hiram will put up that notice again, because it is truly profound and lasting. I'm just so happy that I'm part of this time when you're all making history. I'm really just so happy to be here. Now mute me so I can just immerse myself.
Okay, so a poet that wanted to be muted. That is something new for Poets versus the Pandemic. It's a new thing for our show. Now, Karen usually has our leader here. Karen usually has some good questions for interrogation. Do you have anything to bring to the program, Karen?
You know, you put me right on the tip of my toes, but I'm going to try to rise to the occasion. And I am interested in knowing, what is the hardest part of collaborating in this fashion?
Good question. Who wants to take it from the right blend?
Well, let me start because I'm the founder, and the reason why I wanted to start is because I love each and every one of these poets, their work, and I think because we have such a respect for one another's work, the uniqueness of our artistry and our voices, it allows us to just celebrate the differences in our work. And I think that makes it so much easier when you're looking at each poet as a celebration. So I'll leave it there for me.
I would echo that. I think sometimes when you think of collaboration or doing things together, of course you want to find common ground, but I think part of our common ground is the diversity, and we're able to celebrate that and appreciate that and build on that as part of our collaboration.
Yeah, and I'll add to that also. I see somebody else asked a similar question in the chat that says, if we workshop our poems with one another or write on our own and come together, and how much our art partakes of conversation with each other. And I'll echo what Diane was saying, in that we all have this respect and reverence for each other. And what I've noticed is that, you know, maybe one poet in particular just had a really hard experience in their life, and they wrote about something, and then I noticed these threads that reflect that in the other people's poems when we come together just to do a group reading. And so it's not even on the conscious workshopping level, it's on a much deeper subconscious level where we're picking up things that are happening amongst each other, and we're able to reflect that just without even knowing it in our poetry. And then when we come together, we'll see these common threads, and I think it's really remarkable.
One of the major challenges that we have as a group is scheduling time together.
Yeah.
No, all kidding aside, that's often a little bit of a challenge. One of the things that I found particularly exciting about this group is that Miss Cayenne, about 6 months ago or more now, it was pre-pandemic, so it must have been longer ago than that, took pieces of each of our poems and stitched them all together in a composite chorale sort of piece, a melange. And we performed that as a group, a collective group, to give voice to this kind of collective, all in one spot and in one poem. And we've recorded that, and it's available on the Cafe Muse website. It's only about, I think, 5 minutes long at the very most. So if you have an interest, curiosity, you might want to check out that piece, because it gives a snapshot of each of our voices, but also it allows the merger of some of our voices as well. And it includes a little bit of that wonderful harmonica music from by Cliff Burnett.
Yeah, I think the only real challenge for me is time. Everybody's busy and finding the time to get together and be together, and because we feed off the diversity, and I know that's the inspiring thing for me, it's that's what keeps me going. That's not a challenge at all.
With the diversity for me too, I didn't feel like I was being asked to fit a certain sort of genre. I just bought myself, and myself was just fitting to a group where, you know, I had total respect for each and every poet that was there too, and learned a lot from them, you know, and learning about their lives, and I just respected how different all of our poetry is, but how it just blends together. And I guess why we said it was the right blend.
Yeah. Right.
So
Now, I
many-
just put into the chat a link to the page that we created for the right blend. And on that page, you'll see the video that Hiram mentioned, as well as a link to their poems.
And Grace has also posted that we were privileged enough to record the poet and the poem with her, of course, as an incredible magician of a host here a while back. And so she's posted information on that. One of the things that I've observed over the years is that the poetry world, in readings, in workshops, in gatherings, in teams, tend to be monochromatic. And it works in all sorts of ways. Last week, I attended a reading where I was the only tall, white, bald guy. I was the only white person in the group. And literally an hour later, I attended a reading without any African Americans. And so one of the wonders of this group is that we are able to share fairly candidly, openly, lovingly, in a way that I think strengthens our individual voices, but also allows us to enjoy that diversity, that wonderful diversity that is so, so available if we only tapped into it in the DMV.
Okay, so do we have any other questions? So from anybody in the audience, I'm going to take the bold move of being able to unmute anybody who wants to ask a verbal question, or of course you could use the chat if you want. But the meeting is, we've seen everybody who came in, and we don't think there's any miscreants or Zoom bombers here. So I think we can open up for anybody who'd like to say something or add some more. And if not, that was one heck of a great presentation. I want to thank everybody in the Right Blend, and for all of you for coming here tonight.
Thank you, Henry. Goodness, thank you very much. You and
Yes,
Karen.
thank you.
It has been just a terrific night of poetry, one that I don't think I will ever forget. It was certainly an unforgettable night here at Poets versus the Pandemic.
Awesome show. Thank you so much.
So I hope you enjoyed this evening's readers, and will extend your enjoyment to purchasing books. And I put the links to buying those books into the chat, as well as a donation link. And we don't be shy about donating to our poetry series. And don't be shy about letting others know about the series. Our next WordWorks program will take place on November 2nd at 7 p.m. And we'll feature the poets Michael Davis and Beth Konkowski. We hope to see you there. So we'll bring this meeting to a close by saying good night and stay safe.
Okay.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
So long.